Well, let's speak to our guest analyst for today. Joining me in the studio is Chibuzo Okereke. He's a legislative analyst and the founder of Project Hope Alive. We also have the current affairs analyst and professor of communications at Baze University in Abuja, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi. Gentlemen, welcome to Arise Prime Time.
Thank you, my pleasure. Thanks. So.
It's a pleasure having you.
Yeah, same here.
So let's start with you, Prof. You have heard all what our guest said, Honorable Ugochinyere. What's your take on the things that he has shared with us?
Well, political conflicts like this can actually be very entertaining to us bystanders, onlookers, because of the friction, and sometimes can be very regrettable, where you imagine that minor problems, that shouldn't arise at all, are actually arising. But this one that is playing out now is not unexpected. We know that beyond everything that he's saying, beyond the overt contestation that we're having, there are some powerful subterranean forces, guiding the process, triggering the conflict, as the case could be. And these interests are so powerful that the open gladiators don't have any option other than to pander, to the whims, of the subterranean forces or interest groups, that are, driving the process negatively, as the case could be. And of course, the names can be mentioned in the circumstance because it's there in the open space. Here we're talking about the Honorable Minister of the FCT, and of course we know that his forces or his interests, his predilections are massed against those of the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. And of course, there's also, the quest, to control the soul of the party. And in controlling the soul of the party, you have to walk through the structure of the party, which is the party machinery, the hierarchy, the party leadership, as the case could be. So 2027, unfortunately, is in view. And of course, arrangements are on directly or indirectly to make sure that you're not left out of the fray in terms of who mans the throttle of the party, as the case could be.
Okay, let me come to you, Mr. Chibuzo Okereke. What do you make of what Ugochinyere has said?
Well, these are political intrigues. I can tell you that political party management and administration has been a problem in Nigeria, even pre-independence days, so it's not new. And also, PDP didn't just go into opposition in 2023. It was since 2015, and that should be noted. Also, there is nothing wrong. It's not a crime for legislators under the umbrella of the PDP to feel that a problem should be solved. What is the issue is what is the best approach or strategy to solve the problem. For instance, I believe that the issue in the PDP and has led to irreconcilable differences is to the fact that the PDP problem is about he that is without sin should cast the first stone. Before I was coming to this place, somebody spoke to me and said, Mr. Honorable Ugochinyere that is speaking today, he was the spokesperson of the APC candidate for the speakership in the 10th National Assembly, and that he was firing on. And he asked me, was that the interest of his party? Again, also, of the 60 members that are now speaking about the need to move the party forward and change it, somebody asked me, which of them voted for the opposition speaker in the House of Rep? That all of them stood up and announced that APC candidate should be their speaker. That was there a time their party met and said this is the direction to go. So
that's interesting, what you're saying, because you're implying that most of the politicians have no credibility.
Well,
that's essentially.
In politicking in Nigeria, there are a lot of issues. But speaking about this PDP matter, you could see that even the coalition that is speaking today have their own problem. The governors or the FCT minister they are talking about had their own issues in the 2023 election, which had to do with the issue of southern, northern zoning system. So what I think is that this coalition is right. However, it's not as if they are the righteous ones in the PDP. They are also with sins. And what they could have done, in my estimation, is to consult widely by traveling openly to go engage those governors, engage other stakeholders. Because if not for probably the alleged manipulation of this caretaker list, you may not have seen them come up to do this. And so every member of a party should be sincere to his or herself, and the party should go inside and address whatever problems they have. Those who want to stay can stay back, and those who want to, go out of the party should do so. But each and every one member of the PDP since 2015 have been with enormous sin, I can tell you.
Right.
Yeah.
Prof, let's come back to you. In your introduction, you had mentioned that the conflict is fueled by the 2027 elections already. Should that be the focus, though? Shouldn't it be more about governing rather than politicking at this stage? Is that not shortchanging Nigerians?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It goes beyond even shortchanging. Sometimes it can just amount to a state of where you will say leaders don't have conscience, because our priority now shouldn't just be politicking. Politicking shouldn't be endless. Elections finished last year, and of course after election, we're supposed to move into statecraft. Yes, we know that as a party in government, it's supposed to be their primary responsibility, but even the opposition too, they have a responsibility in providing, on the need to provide, the right opposition to those in government, put their feet to fire, remind them, provide alternative ideas, or maybe commend them wherever they are doing fine. Just be a credible alternative voice, engaging in constructive criticism, not destructive criticism. That's the hallmark of democracy, where you have a valuable, intelligible contestation of ideas. And through that process, of course, credibility can emerge. But that's not what we are having now. Rather, we are having, parties that are struggling. And of course, PDP shouldn't even be a party that should ordinarily be struggling, because among all the political parties that we have, it looks like one of the most organic parties. If you remember the history, the illustrious history they have, and the personalities behind the creation, the evolution of PDP, like Honorable Gochuna, you rightly mentioned, Adamu Shiroma, Solomon La, Alex Ekweme, Abubakar Rimi, all these credible Nigerians, they'll actually be filled with regret wherever they are now. God rest their soul, some of their souls, or all their souls, as the case could be, because they are all late now. They'll be, filled with some level of disappointment that the legacy that they left behind, it's not been sustained. Yes, and we shouldn't also miss the fact that we still have some credible statesmen that help in the building of PDP. Peter Odili is there. Adolfo Swabara, another elder that is, and of course David Mark is also there.
Yes.
And perhaps this is the time for these other ones, that are still alive, still active, to rein in, come in and find a common ground, amongst all the contending interests, so that, beyond just being a credible opposition,
yes,
they can also prepare, for future elections.
Yes.
Even though we do not want a situation where we'll be preoccupied with thoughts around election alone.
Yes.
Governance is also very important, like you underscored.
Prof just mentioned something very important. He went down memory lane to talk about the PDP. He used the word, one of the most organic parties in Nigeria. The party seems to be a shadow of its former self, isn't it?
Absolutely. Everybody can attest to that, and that speaks to a number of issues. I talked about the foundation of political party management and administration. You see, with the way we have built party, remember the money bag, godfatherism factors, the fact that most of these parties do not even have a proper secretariat. In fact, the two major parties we have today in Nigeria, both the ruling party and the PDP, if you look at the administration of you could see the gaps. So parties administration is not a child's play. It's like running a country, because that is the gateway to political leadership recruitment. So if you look at the PDP, they never prepared for transition to opposition. And since 2015, when this happened, and some people in the PDP today, and that's why I spoke about the analogy of he that is with us since you cast the first stone, because some people still hold grudges to those people who stormed out of the PDP convention. opposition, prior to the 2015 election and joined the opposition new APC that eventually made PDP to lose that election. So some people that are in PDP today believe that those people are the foundation of their crisis. That is not even a case of somebody who is not from North Central or what have you. So it goes to the root of where the party is coming from. That's why I've said it is important the party goes back to the drawing board and ask themselves, are we still... After the 2015, for instance, there was a committee headed by the former Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Ike Kwemad. There were even an attempt to rebrand the party, change the name of the party, some people said. So they have not been able to overcome the challenge of 2015. And it's not easy, especially when they had prophesied that they are going to rule for 60 years, and that didn't happen. So the PDP now needs to, innovate.
Right.
I agree with Honorable Gochia in terms of the role of opposition. But the opposition must be ready to play that role. It's not when it suits you or it doesn't suit you, then you request for opposition to be viable and vibrant. Yeah.
Prof, he just mentioned something major. He talked about money politics.
Yeah.
It's not only in the PDP, it's in the APC. That's a problem in our country. And you look at the amount or the cost of buying nomination forms, even for the primaries, and then you go to whether it's a presidential or governorship election. Can we continue this way? How do we get rid of money politics?
Unfortunately, we're going to continue this way,
Wow.
but we shouldn't continue this way, because money politics simply means that there's no value in our processes, especially the political process. It simply means that everything that we do is determined by cash, that all processes are transactional, whereas some of our processes should be driven by values, virtue, cardinal objectives, the determination to leave legacy, not just for the present generation, but of course for generations yet unborn, as the case could be. So it's something that we will often talk about, something that we need to continue to regret and probably find ways of dealing with. And that's why we keep talking about good governance. When we have a system, when we have good governance, if we are able to emplace good governance, then we will be able to strengthen institutions. And institutions will be able to provide all the basic needs to a very large extent of the system. There will be social security system, safety nets will be available, and of course the reliance on money. Thinking that until we have money and more money, and of course thinking that for every problem you throw money at it, and if money is not enough, you throw more money, and much more money, and continuously like that until we're able to get away from there. Maybe it's not going to happen only on the basis of pronouncement or just simple, by simply wishing it. It has to be processual, through the instrumentality of government, and of course through the instrument of quality leaders who are determined to do it. But of course we need the political will to back this up as well.
Prof seems to be not very optimistic. What about you?
Well, first, I think I share his view, to an extent.
Are we doomed?
We are not doomed, but it seems we thought that political party system is a profession for some people. Nigerians have to know this is, according to our laws, this is the only way we recruit leaders. All of us, whether you are in church or in the mosque, you are an engineer, whatever you are, everyone should move into the parties. We need to also waive even the doctrine of neutrality for the police or civil servant and what. Everybody has to get into the political, whatever party you like, get it, because the parties has become a slave trade, in the sense that even delegates are owned by people. They don't have membership that is organic. People cannot boldly say this is our party. It's only a certain group of people that claim ownership of party. Then if you do that, then we move to the level of popular participation. If you talk about what is happening in Senegal, in Ghana and co, what about the United States? We just made an example. Even the ruling party, the party with the majority, their candidate had to go through 16 rounds of election because opposition will not yield. It's not what we are seeing here. So we need everybody to come on board. The registration system of a political party must be regulated so that we will know there are human beings who are members, who have legitimate legitimate rights. And things should start from the grassroots to the national level. Yeah.
Mr. Chibuzo Okereke,
Yes,
Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, that's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Do join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, goodbye and thank you for watching.